Welcome back to the third round of Biel Chess Festival 2019. We have some guests here with us. The fastest players for today, Sebastian Bogner and Nico Georgiadis. They have just finished their game in a draw, so we would like to ask them some questions
about the game. So, each one can use their own specified mouse, and you can fight each other, at least here. And feel free to show us through the deep moments of your preparations, revealing everything for your future opponents. And let us know, some people think it's a little bit dry, but personally I know when a player is well prepared, there are a lot of things that's going on in our mind during the preparation and during the game and so on. And I'd love to hear all the secret stories behind this lovely fight.
Well, okay, first of all, I didn't expect Sebastian to play the Catalan. I was preparing some Slav for many hours. Also King is Indian, because I thought he was in good mood. He felt in good mood because of his win yesterday. Apparently he decided to play solid, and he just was well prepared. Okay, I decided to go for this Queen C2 because I thought he had probably prepared more for castle and Knight C3 here, which I had recently played.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I was right. So Queen C2 is a very safe move, and this line which we played is the main line, and it's more or less forced. I mean, black has other options, of course, on the way. I think here black can, for instance, take G takes F6, but it's a bit more risky. So this.
I think there was a rapid game from Baku after G takes F6. Yeah, exactly. I saw it because I prepared also this line.
Yeah.
Shortly.
And after I already had played Knight FD2 once against Peltier, another very strong Swiss player. I think Sebastian saw that game. It went Bishop D7, Knight takes C4, and after that, Knight D4 is an accurate move, which is equalizing immediately. So
you can use arrows with the right click, by the way, because grandmasters like to draw.
Okay, well, I prepared also this line actually, because here Queen D3 there was a game.
Yeah.
Queen D3 and then Bishop B5. I think this is.
I think this was my game. Actually.
Yeah, this is maybe the game. Yeah. There's also a game Bindrich against Nisipiano. I saw this game.
Wow.
And it equalizes. But I think.
Yeah, Knight F6 is an improvement.
Yeah,
good.
Actually, after Queen F6, I played too fast Knight D4. I mean, I thought for 4 seconds.
Yeah.
But then I realized that Rook FD1 was the move I had prepared.
Oh no, really?
I didn't prepare it for this game, but for another game in 2 weeks ago or something, I looked at this line and I realized Rook FD1 was better. The point is that after Rook FD8 now, there is Knight E4, Queen E7, Knight D6, and White is better. Because black doesn't get to play this
Bishop E8.
Bishop E8. I think I can just take the bishop and I'm slightly better. This is the point. So
Rook FD1.
I think the precisest move is E5, which Sebastian also looked at before the game, and now Knight E4, Queen E7, Queen B5, Bishop E6, Queen B5. And this position is objectively equal, I think, but white can try something at least. I think black has to play some precise moves now.
It doesn't look equal to the human eye,
well,
but it is probably with precise knowledge of the position.
Exactly. So that was it, because after Knight E4 Sebastian blitzed out all the moves, and he was just ready for.
Yeah, I just knew everything here basically until Rook D8.
These moves are quite logical. Okay, here I was trying to figure out something special, but I couldn't come up with anything else than Rook FD1.
But I think there's nothing.
Yeah, there's
actually
just nothing.
I think Queen C5 is the only idea.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I just go Bishop C8.
Otherwise you just take and Rook D8.
Yeah.
Completely equal.
Yeah, just
Queen C5 here?
No.
I think Queen C5 here, I thought
On B6.
B6 was
Yeah, so Rook FD1.
No, Rook FD1 is best.
And Bishop E8, and now Queen C5, which
Sebastian was even ready for that. So
wow.
Yeah, there's some funny line actually after B6. Here's Knight B7. I checked this move, and I take here, and here the key move is king f8, I think. Because if he goes knight d6, I have this pin with rook d8, and he cannot take my bishop, and king e7 is coming next. And after rook d3, I think I have like knight e5 jump, so should be clear for black. And if he goes rook c1 in this situation, I mean after king f8, there's rook c1, then just king e7, and I stop knight d6, and I'm just in time after bishop takes c6, and here's rook c8, and again
The
very
pin
nasty
variation.
pin, yeah. And here white is not losing the
Yeah.
has knight d8, very funny move, and it's just a draw actually, because after king takes there's check on d1, and
They're just
rook
exchanging.
c7 and just draw. Yeah.
Let's show the viewers the principal move after bishop takes e8, king e8, the lovely defensive resource. Yeah, rook d2.
Rook d2.
Very
we have to
strong.
Defend the second rank. Yeah.
Yeah, the second rank.
Yeah, so that's basically it. I mean, after knight d4, we were just exchanging pieces, and it was a dead draw.
Yeah, it was not so interesting anymore, but okay.
Okay, I prefer this draw to my draw yesterday. I mean,
Oh yeah, yeah.
much easier.
Yes,
yeah,
that's
I was very tired after yesterday's game, so I don't feel so bad about this draw. I mean, it's just
Even
you
though
tried.
Just a
were
normal
playing
game,
with
yeah.
white here. Even though you were playing with white.
true, but okay, Sebastian was well prepared, and okay, we only play. There are only good players in this tournament, so I think a draw with any color against any opponent is a good result for me.
and for me. Oh, whoops.
Especially for you,
I
Tyler.
just want to play. I'm not playing. Yeah, knight d8 and yeah e3.
Okay, here, quickly.
Yeah,
Here I was calculating this. E4. I mean, just to play.
But why not bishop d7?
Yeah, also bishop d7, of course, is possible.
I will play bishop d7, I think,
Yeah. Okay,
and then
it's
bring the
just-
king.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, you should play f4, e4, e5.
Exactly,
but,
that's what I wanted to play, but now e4.
But then f6, knight f7. It's just
Okay, whatever I play is a draw, yeah, true.
yeah,
yes. All the ways lead to Rome or something like this. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
exactly.
So e3, king f8, knight c3, king e7, king f1. Good move.
Activating your king.
Yes, f6.
Yeah.
King e2. Actually, I started to explain how it's important to bring the king to the center and so on. Then you played knight c3, and I couldn't.
Bishop c6 is
Yeah,
it's
but
an unpleasant pin.
yeah, yeah, but I didn't see that. So yeah, so my explanation collapsed. King e7, king f1, f6, king e2.
Yeah, I thought actually I expected bishop c6 and
Yeah.
just with some repeat moves somehow. Okay.
Yes, and
After knight f7, I thought Sebastian was playing for the win.
Okay, there
Yeah.
are many ways for draws.
yes, yes, many ways to
To equalize.
equalize in an equal position.
Yeah.
King d6, king c3, e5, and a3, lovely move. H6.
Okay, I think it's just important to put the pawns on the black squares. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, but here I failed to explain stuff about the position just when you followed the basic principles, because I was very busy with the lovely position that we will soon discuss together with the power of the mass. We will on board number 2. We'll see it soon. But h4, king c5, bishop e4, king d6, and the well-known threefold repetition.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
to do.
And are there rules about agreeing or not being allowed to agree to a draw in this tournament? I failed to read the regulations.
Actually, I have some story to it because my opponent he offered draw after 17 moves, something like this, and but I think it's not allowed until move 40 because I asked then the referee, but it's not allowed actually until move 40.
I also have a story about this topic, but I will keep it for a moment. I'll keep it for a moment where we have this kind of position on all 4 boards, and people keep playing the end game for on, and then I have many stories to share that I'm not proud of. So yeah, here overall a decent result, one could say, and yeah. It wouldn't be a stretch to now ask you to stay with us for a little bit longer, if you don't mind.
Yeah,
And,
I actually have a personal question to Nico. If we come back to the moment where you have failed to play the move you have prepared, can you tell us? Yeah, let's just move on to that, or move back actually to that moment. Was it instead of Rook D1? Or yeah, it's Rook D1. You said what was the move exactly?
Rook FD1.
Rook F D1 instead of
94.
94. Yeah, right.
Move orders.
So basically, you say you. What was the moment you realized that 94 was the not the right move? Just after you drop off your the hand or
No,
the
no,
knight?
just here it was actually.
So
Okay,
some-
here I thought quickly about Rook FD1 because I had this position in mind, Rook FD8 96, but I realized that there is just B5 after Rook FD1, so I quickly played Queen C4. And here, when I started thinking, I realized that that Rook FD1 was actually should have been played 2 moves before.
Okay, so yeah, you played some moves after, and what were your thoughts at that moment? Did you feel kind of an anger towards yourself?
Yeah, here I was a
And
bit
if
angry.
yes, for how long? Because I am asking this. I find it very. Very practical situation that we often have in our games, and I think it's highly important to know how to move on and not to continue thinking about the position which can no longer happen in the game. So how did you manage to overcome this anger?
Well, yeah.
If
Yeah,
you managed.
I managed.
Can you give us
Luckily, I'm not lost.
24 minutes, eh?
Exactly.
can you give us some advice?
After 20
what should you tell yourself?
After
once
only
you-
23 minutes and 57 seconds, everything was behind me.
Exactly. Luckily, I'm not lost or something. I mean, that would be a completely different situation. But okay, first of all, I spent 10 minutes just to
in a shock.
yeah, to
Yes,
not
in
to
shock.
telling myself I'm an idiot and so on. But then I
I'm
passed
familiar
that.
with this ceremony.
So
We all are, I even believe.
Yes.
so then after that, I thought, okay, now probably it's just an equal position, and you will just keep playing normal moves and make a draw. That's what I told myself, and I was now trying to figure out something to make some pressure, but I couldn't see anything. That's why I spent 23 minutes on this move, and I thought, okay, this game will not take if it's a quick draw, it will not take long anyway, so I can spend even 20 or 30 minutes on that move. It didn't matter so much.
So that's an interesting approach and a disciplined one as well. And regarding mixing up your preparation, this thing tends to happen to a lot of good players, and I've sought advice everywhere in every corner of the world, and couldn't find a very convincing way to avoid such things besides working really hard for many hours and repeating over and over again, having the same thing, the same mistake happening in practice games until it doesn't happen any longer. If you have any simpler advice or more practical, please do share. Otherwise,
Both of you guys,
yes,
if you have
if,
some.
Maybe him
yeah.
because he didn't commit that.
I mean, would you use would you claim that the method you use is the same one I mentioned of just trying to work as hard as you can and repeating a line until you remember it? Or just maybe some technique for the...
Well, you cannot assure yourself that you will remember the position because, as Nico mentioned, he has prepared it to
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago to another game, another player, and this was kind of a surprise. So eventually, you will all the time have those situations like, okay, I've worked this, I have some notes. What are they?
Yeah. So,
Yeah, I think this is the main problem. That is. No.
sorry.
I think this is the main problem because it's just too many lines at some point. Because I also prepared so many lines for this game, and it goes very fast that you just forget some line or some critical position. And sometimes, okay, we play too fast, and then like it happened to Nico. Yeah, but I think there's not a real way to change it. Just to repeat and repeat it for every game and just to try not to forget. I think for some people it helps that they just put it on the board, because it's also different if you prepare with laptop, and maybe it's easier for some people to prepare over the board.
So do you mean you suggest putting into your luggage a wooden chessboard?
Okay, I think for some people it might be helpful. Yeah.
Do you know nowadays grandmasters who do that?
I've heard of a few who claim to do it, but I haven't seen a proof to this day. Using chessboards is a rare phenomenon in chess tournaments. But well, one thing that I have tried is I'll try to make the example over the board here. So for those who do use ChessBase or other chess programs and know what I'm talking about, you usually can use your left and right arrow key or the mouse wheel to move your pieces. So for example, if I press the left arrow key, it will move the pieces very quickly, and that's how usually people repeat their variations very impatiently. And the one method that I use sometimes when I have time and patience is that I use the actual mouse pointer to make the moves for my own side. Sometimes for both sides, and by making the moves on the board with the mouse, it's as if I'm making the decision and committing to it, and then I tend to remember it a little bit better. So that's just one thing to notice that happened to me several times before. That when I use the arrow keys to just move the pieces quickly, then I tend to forget and not have the understanding or the questions about why not to make another move, why this move is why this is the precise moment, for example, in your game to move the rook and not the knight. So for example, if I were preparing at home and I wanted to remember rook fd1, I probably would have forgotten it and played knight e4 and then see that it was a mistake. And when we make mistakes, we tend to remember it better and do the above mentioned ceremony, but at home before the game and not during the game, and then do it in the game as well.
There is also training option, I believe, in ChessBase, where you can just
exactly.
notation, where you can put it and you do not see the moves, and you can make it on your own.
Yes. So I think it's been quite a wise interview so far. Let us move on. I
can add maybe one point. I mean, I have some issues with with transpositions. I have sometimes issues because, for example, that's why I thought maybe it's interesting for the audience.
For sure.
When I played knight c6, I was thinking like 3 minutes, even though I knew the position. But my mind was like, what is the difference between queen takes c5 and knight c6? So that was my problem during the game, because when I repeated the lines or looked at the line, I was just going to the main position, and then I was just analyzing this position. But during the game, I was not sure what is the difference between knight c6 and queen takes c5. Maybe you know.
Shall I explain it to you?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Because this I know. I found it during the game, but maybe
this much I know.
Now after queen takes c5, there is bishop e3.
This
I think
was
white
what
is
I
slightly
pointed
better,
out too. And
Ta-da!
queen c7 has knight b5.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is what I pointed out during the game. But
Okay.
sometimes this is a problem for me just to.
And if you start with knight c6 and now bishop e3, then
Probably knight g4.
Yeah, I think knight g4 is an issue.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's not miss the point though, because it's not why knight c6 is not the move. It's the technique of asking questions that matters, and that's actually what I meant indirectly when I spoke about making the moves on my own in the preparation with the file open. When I make the moves on my own, these questions tend to pop up at home, and even if I don't find an answer, or let's say I make up wrong logic, it's still some form of a connection in the brain that helps me remember the move. So for example, I could say to myself something like, okay, I play knight c6 because I'm threatening knight b4, when it's not the case, but then I can actually use it to remember it in this game. So this is not a good example, but sometimes moves are so deep that there is no making sense of them, besides making up some random things like this, and then the connection in the brain helps us remembering the sequence of moves, just like we have in our head. Like if I immediately ask you what's the 14th letter in the ABC, it's not so easy, but you can think logically A, B, C, D, and count. So I have all these logical connections that make no sense, but all together they reach something.
But I think it's a good point, because sometimes for me, I just look at my score sheet and I remember like move 13 is this.
yes.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the same for
Yeah.
me.
Yes, I think it's very helpful. Yeah.
And that's when I hate myself the most, when I remember move 13 but I can't, but I'm at move 8 and I don't know how do I reach it.
No, to tell the truth, I also draw some kind of paintings while trying to remember my variations, which do not make that much sense, but just, okay, here I attack the queen, here I defend the bishop, and something like this. And it actually it works. Even if it looks kind of silly or not making any sense, but I do think that it's a very good advice to our audience.
Sounds like a very good advice. And
Let's maybe look at some other games.
yeah, in a moment, once I
If you
finish.
have time, that would be our pleasure to have 2 more commentators here with us in studio.
I agree that this is a good advice.
Yes.
So let's move on to board number 2 between Vidit and Leko, and we have some developments. So let us just remind the viewers and also show.
Not that many, judging by the move number
Yeah, but
and the time on Peter's clock, which is
not so much.
yeah,
Only 30 minutes or
15 minutes already on move 15. He has
Dangerous.
25 moves for
he's
15 minutes.
risking.
It's very dangerous.
Yeah, so before talking about the clocks, which we did in length earlier,
I think I infected him with the time travel disease.
yes,
Yesterday when we were playing.
don't infect your opponent. Today you were very thoughtful
Exactly.
towards your opponent, yeah? So here after the normal opening, so this is,
For 5 minutes here.
um,
Or he was
yeah, so yeah,
Oh,
there's a lot we can say about and analyze about the clock, but let's just mention the opening. So 1 c4 c5 g3 g6 bishop g2 bishop g7. How lovely, symmetrical English. Knight f3. Now black decided after the usual move d6 and castles to break the symmetry once again with a move that's quite rare, rook b8. That took 3 minutes and a half. And then, after the not so unusual move a3, black seemed to have been out of book and played a6 and b5, thinking for more than 15 minutes on each move, reaching this relatively symmetrical position that we saw earlier. Only with one major problem, besides the fact that he had around 40 minutes here, that in this position, white can play d4 at once and gain another tempo on the top of the regular tempo that white has. And after bishop f5, rook b3, d5, knight e5 came, and yeah, white is 2 tempi up compared to this symmetrical position. And he thought for another 14 minutes and played queen b6. Now bishop e3 is very nice, protecting d4 and also keeping an eye on the queen.
and developing the bishop.
And developing the bishop, preventing knight takes e5. Bishop e6, which seems a little bit odd.
Like one more time he loses a tempo.
Yeah, because white was threatening knight takes d5. And now Vidit is thinking quite deeply. He actually played already. So let's see what's the move. Knight to d3 has been played by Vidit, very logical, aiming to bring the knight probably to the lovely c5 outpost, and yeah, attacking the bishop on e6. What can we expect black to play in this position besides thinking for long?
For 15 more minutes.
At least.
He cannot think.
At most.
No, but I think the position is quite unpleasant for black, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Without time, it's even more.
Yeah, but it looks
But,
because white will just place his knight on c5 and
Yeah, so
somehow it's not clear what black is gonna do. I mean, knight g4 looks critical, but d5 is dropping probably. So
yeah,
I don't know. Maybe even knight c5.
yeah, knight c5. Knight c5 looks really strong. If knight e3, fe3,
Yeah, again, d5 is dropping.
yeah, d5 is really falling, because if you let me take on e6, you have no castling rights after fe, and if you move, like let's say castle, then I can just take d5 and have a much better position. Yeah, that's quite unpleasant. So knight g4 seems to fail. Knight e4, what about this move? Maybe knight c5 anyway?
Yeah, maybe. Nice.
And if you take d takes, wins a pawn.
But what happens after knight takes d3, knight b4?
Knight b4? That's a good question. Probably not much.
Okay, knight
So
f4,
knight c5 is not
f4
precise.
might be moved, or same story.
Same probably. But
Then queen b3 at the end.
What about takes and d5? Or knight e4 and d5? All looks very winning.
Oh yeah,
We
knight
failed to
knight
notice.
takes and d5, yeah.
3 grandmasters
winning
lo-
piece.
looking at the position.
4. My
Yeah.
apologies.
Oh yeah, sorry. sorry. 3 grandmasters and 1 elite player watching a position, and yeah, I didn't want you to take credit for blundering this move d5.
Thank you.
So d5 and probably winning the game, and here
I think black must go castle. I
Yeah,
think.
probably castle. Yeah. Castle and rook d8, something like this.
Yeah.
so
And just
after having mentioned all the possible
knight
blunders,
c5, rook fd8, some position like that, but it's
Yeah.
terrible. Bishop h3 is also coming.
okay, so here after castles, knight c5,
Okay, at least we can understand why Peter thought for such a long time.
because we can't find a move. So what's the threat for white here? What do you think? Let's say white has an extra move. I have this trick I can
Okay,
do.
black plays anyway, probably rook fd8, no?
Yeah, queen d3, bishop f4.
Yeah.
Look at me, making all these extra moves. So
Yeah, the main problem is it's so easy to play for white.
no.
You cannot.
And without
D5
time,
is,
it's very unpleasant.
Okay, we found a plan.
Okay, there's more than one, I guess.
Yeah. So castle knight c5 can be expected soon. Knight takes e6 might be a threat. Queen d3 followed by bishop f4. Yeah, and Peter is the leader, by the way.
Okay, what if
Bishop
I
f4,
play
queen d3 maybe. Right.
knight a7?
Now,
Yes.
Rook a3 looks quite good.
rook a3 threatening rook a6. That's unpleasant.
Yeah, if like white manages to play queen b3, rook a1, it's game over, I think.
Oh dear.
It's unpleasant.
This is very
But
bad.
can you say that all those times where that Peter's tried to find the best move and eventually is about to get into time trouble, were they reasonable? I mean, I understand that the position is bad, but not having any time anymore is not helping him. So even though, okay, he played rook b8, it was not the best move, but was it worth thinking so much ever since?
I think it's never worth it, but sometimes it's not so easy actually during the game. But I think maybe I cannot imagine that he didn't know the opening actually, because usually he knows a lot of things. So maybe he tried to memorize the lines, or
Because I was thinking maybe he has just been, or he's being a perfectionist, or is it called maximalist, or
Yeah, maybe.
because-
okay, I think maybe also an issue. He's not. I mean, sometimes it's difficult. He's not playing so much, so maybe his time management got worse. I don't know. It can be a reason. I mean, let's say that he's not so not playing so fast. Yeah,
Castles.
can be a reason.
So after knight c5, we can expect black to think for a little while longer.
Yeah.
And he has only 10 minutes.
But we do expect knight c5, right?
Yeah.
I think to answer your question, I think he was just trying to figure out a way to have to get a reasonable position somehow, but he just couldn't succeed. I think that's why he thought for such a long time.
Yes.
I know it because I also think for a long time sometimes, and yeah, I think that's the main reason. Probably it was not worth it anyway because
It's so rare to see Petr Leko out of book so early in the game.
yeah.
And yeah, we see. I played a move. We see by the outcome of this opening that even against the top players of the world, it's a good idea to surprise them and force them to make some decisions on their own. Because one thing that comes to mind, one argument that I really like, is that because they're so good and they have such high standards, then they have so many more things than us to think about.
That's what
And-
I was telling
and they
the
can
other
spend
day.
more time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like in any science, the more you learn, the more questions you get.
Yeah. And the
And the
more
more
things you
complicated,
know to think about, you feel like you have to think about.
Yes, and the more complicated it gets by every time you actually improve your knowledge.
Yes. So in Petr's case, it kind of backfired because having no time on the clock is bad for any player at any level, and that's the outcome of maybe in a way knowing too much, and at least on a psychological level, because Rook B8 is the result of maybe feeling uncomfortable with the usual main lines because he knows so much about them. So
Maybe
yeah.
he was just not ready. He was just not expecting C4, and he was afraid of a preparation. Probably, I mean that's.
But I still
Yeah.
think that he was trying in a way to outsmart himself.
his
And,
opponent and eventually outsmarted.
Eventually, yeah, trying to come up with something perfectly fine, but eventually outsmart himself because, I still stick to the point that you have a general comprehension, even though you did not prepare that line for a long time. You understand chess. You have a good idea of what positions you like, what positions you do not like, and you can actually perform in so many different ways, and they all will be fine.
Yeah. So while we see another two moves, knight c5, rook fd8. We can expect queen d3 like mentioned by... but there's bishop f5.
Bishop f4 and queen d3. Yes.
Bishop f4, and if the rook moves, then queen d3. So let's have a look. Bishop f4, rook a8, for example. Now queen d3, attacking the b5 pawn.
Knight h5.
But
no, I think bishop f5, queen b5. Yeah.
so have a look. And now something like cannot do anything. So it doesn't work. So after queen d3, what can we... Bishop f4 and queen d3, what can we expect?
Knight h5.
Knight h5, bishop back,
Bishop just back. Yeah.
and rook back.
Okay, then.
Can't we try knight f6 back?
Maybe bringing the last piece to the game.
You mean instead of rook b8?
Yeah, because
Isn't b5 dropping?
Just rook a1 and
okay.
rook a6 being a huge
Right.
threat.
What?
Winning here, yeah? Very close to winning. So after rook fd8, not much we can offer. Oh, wait, he played rook fd8, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, queen d3. No, sorry, bishop f4 and queen d3. We can't really offer a reasonable defensive resource. Maybe some exchange sack at some point will take place after bishop f4. Who knows? Some attempt to complicate the game a little bit.
And to give away the quality.
Exchange for free.
And trying to get a pawn, maybe. And then lose.
e3 you're
Yeah.
lost, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not really conversation.
No.
Bishop on Shizane.
Yeah, it's very lost. So after rook fd8, Vidit is thinking. And let's have a look at board number 3 while we wait for a move from Peter, and we're sure it won't take too long. We have some developments on this board.
White has a great position.
Indeed.
This is the Berlin defense, the Berlin Wall. This position arose from the Berlin Wall.
How?
Yes, it looks like the F3 Nimzo or the Zemish.
Okay, astronauts is impossible.
Yeah. So let's see. Last time you were here, we looked at knight back to F3. So here, white played knight to F3, C5, A4, knight B8, D4, C6, knight C4. Looks really nice for white, especially given the fact that black played the Berlin. B5, A, B, C, B, knight back to A5, ED, CD, C4, D5, logical move to prepare knight D4, king G8, rook Fe1, bishop G4, knight D4, bishop D6, knight B7, like in your prep, bishop H2, sacrificing the pawn, and F3. That's quite interesting. So, how would you guys evaluate the position?
Extremely good for white. But
Yeah, white is the pawn down, but
I can't see black's next move.
probably bishop somewhere.
Maybe C8, yeah, even.
Well, but
But okay, it doesn't matter.
what is he going to play next?
Yeah, probably he
I
has
give
no
you-
moves.
I give you a free move.
Queen B4 probably. And
G4 maybe.
G4 even.
I like G4 and king G3 and just going like this
Maybe.
at some point. And
But now at least I can push pawns B4,
yeah.
B4, A5
I
at
thought
least.
queen b4 might be the move.
Yeah, me too.
B4 and then? Really hard to play. A5 you mean?
Maybe.
Maybe, yeah. But okay, you're very fast, yeah. Rook H1.
I might even be threatening to take.
I think you should go bishop C8.
Here? Oh, earlier.
Or earlier.
I think either way black is
And then
Bishop
get
C8 has
bishop
been
D7, knight D7, knight somewhere, knight C5 basically, yes.
Yeah, so you guys would take white? For
Yes.
sure. And do you
Yeah.
like the pawn stack with knight
Yeah,
B7 here?
should be almost winning, yeah.
Do you like this move? Because maybe white could have avoided it somehow.
Could black have avoided taking this pawn?
On H2?
well, it would be even worse.
Yes.
Yeah, it will, but then you would have the same situation with the pawn on H2 after knight takes D6 and
Okay.
F3. So,
Not allowing your plan with g4 king g3.
oh yeah. Thanks for noticing.
If I go.
Thanks for crediting me for this plan. I'm sure it was happening in some old game by Bronstein one day.
But if I try to save my bishop and not to take the pawn, there is no chance it could work.
Which move?
Save the bishop.
Knight b7, then bishop somewhere.
Queen is
No, there is a
Okay.
fork.
That
Sorry.
explains everything.
So
Yeah,
in
yes.
this position, white seems winning even without this knight b7. I know I might sound too critical, but it might be unnecessary. Like if I play f3, for example, do you go to c8?
Yes.
Probably.
Okay, so now,
Probably.
yeah. So let's say, just for example, because like growing up, someone told me that h4 is always good. I know it's a lie, but yeah, let's just, or even let's play it even earlier. Like here, I just go h4. No reason. I just want to play f3 next, and maybe threaten knight b7. e4 is hanging, isn't it?
F3, yeah.
Then f3. Ah, I saw everything.
Yeah, I think it's just
Okay, even this looks very good for white.
h4 looks somewhat
Amazing.
necessary, but
My pawn is amazing on h4. No, but Carlsen does it. If he can do it, then why not us, just in random
yeah,
position?
but in general,
Okay, Carlsen does it on move number 3 or move number 4.
Or move number 25. No, just kidding. Usually the first 15 as part of his Grunfeld prep.
Yes.
Like he played 3 times in different positions in that tournament that he won, which is practically any tournament that took place this year. So
And last year as well.
yeah, so h4 here, just as a random example of asking black to show some move, and if he moves the bishop voluntarily, then we can go h5. So it could be very good for white.
But then E4 is hanging, yeah?
Ah, you mean bishop c8, e4 is hanging?
Okay, I think F3 anyway.
Yeah.
bishop g3. Okay, I don't know.
Actually, not necessarily
White is
f3 as
much
well.
better in any case.
But just to me, this feels a little bit more principled. To, you know, this brings another piece to the game. Then I have the potential of also bringing the rook one day, and all my pieces are active. Knight b7, like, in a way, because I have more space, I don't want to exchange all these pieces, especially when I give away more pieces in the process. So, yeah. And queen a5 has been played, which kind of proves my point. White is not even playing on the king side. So why would you bother going for this line if you want to just dominate on the queen side? You could have done it without knight b7. So I don't mean to criticize the move. It looks strong, but
Knight takes b5.
there's this famous concept that I've seen it first by Dorfman in his book, but maybe it's mentioned in many places, that when someone has a large positional advantage, it's probably not a good idea to just play tactically, because if
you give some extra chances for your opponent to
it's not
to
about
hold,
chances. It's like as if philosophically speaking, you're meant to play it positionally, and you might be punished by Kaisa for playing dynamically, and not only if in practical terms, but it tends to be an objective mistake when one has just a better position for no reason. And just by playing logical moves, let's not speak about mine, but just move like f3 and so on, and just bringing the pieces to the game, the advantage tends to grow, and the tactical chance will eventually just appear, and we just have to recognize it and not force it. And the same thing applies backwards, by the way. When you have a tactical position and a worse position dynamically, you shouldn't play static chess. You should seek for tactical solutions and play for the initiative. So yeah, that's just a general rule for, let's say, low-level grandmasters and IMs.
I'm not sure if I like this approach, but okay.
Yeah, me neither,
Yeah.
but I just read it.
I would also add the fact that when you have a big static advantage, it's just there is another idea of trying to kill your opponent very slowly in order for him not to be able to. Was it like sank him or something like this when he dies in the water without any air? You see, what's the word?
Smother?
Yeah, how you say? Drown. Yeah, I think it's this is the case. So just by giving by trying to go for tactical tactical position and win like immediately, you kind of give your opponent a hope, and you increase the chances of making a mistake. And your risks are also higher. So yes, just it might be better to go slowly and let him die suffering.
Choke him.
What?
Bishop d7.
Rook a3.
Rook a3.
Provoking b4. Or what?
Yeah, maybe he's planning some
I think he's playing rook e3, yeah.
something like this.
Okay, but black cannot move. It looks completely weak.
Yeah, yeah.
It looks
I think he played well.
just over.
Yeah, I think I'm criticizing the wrong players in the wrong moments. Which means that I have a lot to learn. Moving on to board number 4.
If you guys are
Between-
not feeling like
Okay.
leave us do us job our job
Yes,
alone.
we would love to take a... No, just kidding.
Briefly check this game.
So,
That game, that was a good game.
okay, let's show you from the start very quickly at the GM speed. No, just kidding.
Okay,
So-
the opening after the opening.
So d4, d5, e5, c5, c3, knight c6, knight f3, bishop d7, f6 coming up soon, castle takes. This is the main line so far, queen c7, c4, d4, bishop f4, and now, bishop f4, and now instead of long castles, black played knight e7, and then bishop d3, forcing black to castle, indirectly, knight d2, h6, and knight e4, followed by knight f5 by black, and Dina's move, h3, g5, bishop h2, bishop c6, rook e1, all natural moves, developing the pieces. Bishop e7, knight f6, h5, and now gobbling the pawn with knight takes h5, knight h4, rook e4. That's
Wow.
very deep chess taking place here. We might drown. Bishop takes e4, bishop takes e4, and d3. You do you.
Complete mess.
I think the hardest position to assess.
In chess.
No, I mean from
Yeah,
from all the games.
yeah, for sure. This is the hardest position in the tournament so far, in my view. Like,
I also think so.
yes, it's as if we're speaking English and they speak French.
Or Chinese.
Yeah.
So maybe some queen g4, I don't know,
So
Queen g4, rook d1,
something like that.
play but d2.
in this position,
I don't know who is better. Maybe white, but really hard to
It's
say.
very hard to say.
I like this kind of positions when you interview the players and you ask for evaluations in different points. They always, like, I feel they were worse, but the opponent feel that they were worse, and so on. Let's ask about the actual moves, since we can't really afford to evaluate the position.
This d pawn is going to be very annoying. So maybe you should just consider to take it. While it's still possible.
But
No.
then I think it's
Ah, it's
Yeah,
just
it's
losing
not
material.
possible.
Ah,
Rook
rook
d3,
d5,
yeah.
I would also like to take it, but
I know it's to start
it's just not
start with the
possible.
most forceful, but it doesn't work. You
Let's
have to-
make a chess DVD one day, explaining the basics of how
But I
to
think
play.
queen g4 is-
Yeah, queen
complicated
d4,
positions.
d2 or queen d7.
So here, knight
g7,
c,
huh?
knight g7.
d7.
Also queen d7 is coming.
Think. Okay, but
So
queen d7.
Queen d7 now.
And then queen d7 and then d2.
Queen g4,
d2,
rook d1.
rook h6.
Ta-da!
No, I do not like knight g7 at all. I would start by queen g4 immediately, and I would also.
That's actually very interesting.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay, rook g8.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not sure about knight g7. But
I want to play some
Maybe.
deep moves. I mean, deep mood.
But now,
I would here choose definitely black.
no, but hold on. There's
But now
no,
knight
there's a
e6,
nice line.
right?
Knight takes e6. Yeah.
yeah, knight
Queen
takes
e6, g takes h4.
yeah.
Oh my
G
god.
takes bishop f5.
Queen takes f5 doesn't work. Oh
No,
my
queen's
goodness.
created.
Wait, here? What if I just take and ruin all
Oh,
your...
but bishop f5, rook takes d2.
Okay. Wow, this is very deep line discovered by none other than Nico Georgiadis, bishop f5, and now here,
Maybe just
if
queen
takes,
g8.
takes, and if you take my queen,
Ah, but
I will
but
take
what
with the
is queen
pawn.
takes
Yeah, and
f5
then
and
king
king
c7, yeah.
e6. I don't know.
Bishop g5. What? Which move you said?
Okay,
No,
here
queen
white
takes
is better.
f5
Okay,
after
here I
bishop.
think
No, not here.
here
Not
white
here.
is
Ah, here?
Yes, and then king
Queen
c7.
and king
Queen,
c7.
e6,
e6 and king
Oh.
b6,
king b6. Yeah.
and then rook g8. is-
Wait, why not? E6, king where?
Looks just
King
winning for black.
b6.
King b6. And
Oh.
rook g6 is coming. And
So
queen h3 and
So
queen
it doesn't
f4
work after all. Yeah?
That's
Such a nice line, but it doesn't work.
For whom?
It's not working out.
White is losing?
I think so, yeah.
Ah. Just to mess around, yeah?
Okay, but rook g6 is shit.
Yeah, but why? Why? Where do I get mated?
Queen e4.
Okay.
Queen e1.
Ah. I will keep playing.
Rook g-
Okay, sorry. I have to keep trying.
Okay, it's very difficult. I mean.
Wait. Let's try,
Shall
let's
we
try.
just
No,
come
queen
back,
d3
back to the moment?
What happened in the game?
This is insane position.
Wait. Where were we?
And how's the clock?
Um,
White has more time.
so knight g7 offered by our lovely audience, but sadly it wasn't played. Knight f6.
Ah, knight f6. Okay.
Makes sense. But let us ask our dear guests here, what do you think about this move h5 here in the first place? Would you have considered it for black?
Probably he was afraid that white would just go some queen h5 or something. That was what he was afraid of, yeah?
Yeah, queen h5 like in the Abdusatorov Shankland game. Just blocking everything.
Somehow black is lacking counterplay. So I think that's why he went for this h5 without thinking too much.
Yeah, very nice intuitive sacrifice with this idea of knight h4. And probably the point after bishop e4 was d3 or something.
Maybe takes queen c6.
Takes on queen c6 and the knight is hanging.
So f, yeah, exactly. f3 doesn't work.
No, that's not working.
No, rook h5.
Maybe knight g3 still possible, but
So this was a nice idea by black, and then rook e4 is very creative. A move that's easy to miss in the calculation.
Played it in 54 seconds, so he saw it when he took on h5.
Yeah. Bishop e4, d3, knight f6. Very hard to evaluate. Who would you pick?
very hard.
I'm afraid that if we do not stop using for free our dear guests in some nearest moment, they will never accept coming back and joining us the following days. So why wouldn't we just give them some break?
Yeah.
So pick a side.
That's a good idea.
Pick a side and then
luckily for me, they agree with me, even though they absolutely love analyzing
chess.
chess and.
Yeah, I
those
was in a
games.
punishing mode for some reason, or mood, I should say.
Completely
But I
understand
think
that.
your sins have been forgiven, my friends. And just kidding. Good game overall. Thank you very much for coming here. Feel free to pick a side discreetly regarding the evaluation of this last board that we were going through.
I think I would pick white. But
Yeah, me neither.
you
Me
would pick
neither. Right.
also-
Yes.
also
Either.
white.
So both pick white. Yeah, me too. I like the white side because he had less material. That's the general rule of thumb in complicated positions. So thank you all for coming.
Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts in your analysis with
and
us
yeah,
and
we,
helping us.
we have Nico Georgiadis and Sebastian Bogner, who are winning their last couple of games and drawing against each other. So we appreciate your time and your knowledge and wisdom here. You're welcome any day. And
Anytime.
Yes, and we'll take a short break and get back to you very soon with some more insights, hopefully.